can you talk a bit to us about this oracle technology? Can we call it?
Yes, yes. Uh, what has emerged through the Greek language is a system for carrying out or executing a mystery. And that system involves the use of instruments that are meant to alter your perception, to guide you from the visible to the invisible. Those different instruments are things like the music, the drug use, the incantation, along with the environment in which the person, the natural location where the oracle is being performed. All of these things influence the imagery that is being brought. Remember, this is all idolatry, the creation of the eidolon, the creation of the image. So, this tech that we're talking about when we're talking about oracles is the image that is induced in the person. The initiate becomes born again through this visionary process. Their ability to create an eidolon is absolutely essential as a part of the technology of the rite.
Mhm.
So you may not think that creating a mental image is a part of the technology of a religion, but the religion's mystery performance is meant to bring you that eidolon. That eidolon will purify you. That eidolon will reset you. It'll give you memory. It'll allow you to be able to advance beyond the common. It's an elevation in the same way that the Greek language itself is an elevation of the common. So you cannot distinguish, you cannot take away the language itself from the rite. The very songs themselves include melodies, rhythms that are all essential to create this eidolon in the mind of the participant.
Mhm.
So the technology that we're talking about is really all focused on bringing that person to that climax, that moment of orgiastic, eye-opening understanding of the cosmos, where you can step outside of yourself, right, and be transported to that invisible reality. It's not so much that you're moving there, it's that you're gaining the ability to visualize it. So that familiarity becomes your new birth. And the process is so well engineered with these tools that it can be administered. The mystery can be administered to as many people as we want. We have a standardized procedure using this technology. We know exactly how to take you off the street and to bring you to the point of new birth and enlightenment. Oh, so yeah.
Yeah, but what were you were going to add something?
No, just you got to consider the drugs. Please consider everything, even the motions of the priestess, because part of this is coming through something that we get ends up with us in the 5th century or 6th century as pantomime. Pantomime. So we're getting motions, and we know that some of these magic texts, for example, in the PGM, that those texts have something to do with a sound that has been described as a popping and a hissing. We know that there are certain noises that are incorporated into the rite that you and I maybe just call noises, but for some reason, it's important for the person to experience these in order to achieve whatever death and rebirth that the rite is meant to achieve. So these are all technological elements of the rite. If you don't have the right drugs, it's not going to work. If you don't have the right song, it's not going to work. If you don't have the right priestess, the one side of the tech that you may want to add that everybody leaves out is that that priestess is providing her own bodily fluids.
Well,
So that's another element of the
that's
tech.
a bit of next question here. Would it will be like how there was a system? I mean, who is this oracle? How that system worked? This oracle is a person that studied to be an oracle. Is randomly choose. How is the system of the oracle?
No, this not randomly chosen. So, who is the oracle and how did they become oracles? It is a process of education. These are girls who, at a young age, have been dedicated to the temple, right? So either their parents gave them up to the temple as adoptions, or what happened commonly was aristocratic families would give their daughters to the temple because the temple would then enter them into an education in dance, in astrology, in music. And the history that we see the oracles producing is obviously a product of their education. When they come out and say, no, you can't have tyrants, they're not good for your government, right? They have been learning things while they're being educated in the temples. So, and there's all sorts of different temples that will have oracular elements to them. And so a girl is taken and educated for a certain number of years. They say the standard rule for oracles, and you can read this kind of stuff in authors like Plutarch.
Mhm.
The standard rule for oracles was that the first 10 years was their education, the second 10 years was their performance, and the third 10 years was their time where they were in charge of teaching the new members. So you only perform between the ages of 10 and 20. These oracles are between that age gap. That's when they're performing. And after that, they hand it on to the next group. And once they've exited that third decade, they're done. They can go off and do whatever they want. It is essentially a career path. But in the process, as we're told over and over again, they are selected. Not all of these girls who are educated in the system become oracles, oracular priestesses.
Okay.
The selection process for them is more rigorous, and I'll just give you one example. I've thought this was interesting. You cannot have a blemish, no facial blemishes whatsoever, no freckles. Freckles meant you can never dance as an oracle, period. That's it. So they had standards like this. Height was another one. No short oracles,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes you think, why? What? Is there something wrong? Does it have something to do with the fact that they're dancing? I don't know. What are their standards? I don't know. But they have all of these. The oracles can't be considered ugly. They have to be beautiful. They have to be closest to the divinity that is possible. So all sorts of
So they were being like, this is a great place that you will send your child to, kind of thing. She will be educated. She since and you are telling us 10 years, 10 years, 10 years. So this is starts like very when they're like
newborns. You can dedicate a newborn.
newborn. Okay, so it's amazing, and so and the performing part of it that what I understand of what we have talked about in the past is this performing 10 years of it. What would that mean?
That's when the priestess is actually composing. What is she doing? She's making song. So she has people who will come to her during the day, and she has a schedule for people to come. And these they have to enter they get one question. It's their one inquiry, historia. It's their one inquiry. And she will produce, composition wise, verse. She'll produce a song in response to their question. Right? And her song will be written down. And that's the oracle. You got yours, get the hell out, right? You have to go through a process of purification. You can't just walk in,
Mhm.
right? You're basically vetted in the process. So she is answering all of these inquiries. That's what her job is. But the funny thing is don't forget, they're not distinguishing their religion, their medicine, their science. They're not distinguishing their music. So she becomes elevated when she becomes an oracle. And these elevated positions are what the aristocracy is looking for. Right? That's what they want.
Okay.
Because now she has power. And did you know she becomes sacrosanct? When she becomes an oracle and speaks or sings for the god the first time, she becomes sacrosanct. Right? The Romans preserve this in their Vestal Virgins, right? Those are the oracles that keep the hearth of Rome. And so it's people want it for their, of course you would want this for your kid, but if your kid has freckles and can't stand the
Yeah.
drugs, and we have accounts of them
Well, amazing.
running off the edge of the hill and killing themselves on drugs and whatnot, right? It's
Okay. So
some some
this is a girl that is being trained every day, is like being taught about the logos, probably also music. So the best education you can have. You've
yes,
been trained physically to be
right.
able to, like, you know how to, like, physically
Dance.
very fit, how to
Yes.
dance. And there's this other very important topic, probably, which is like how to handle drugs, as you said, how to handle the that technology that they were using. Let's say, let's call it that way, maybe.
Right. And they're having that technology applied to them from birth. Right. So for example, the Echidnaic priesthood, they do the arm slashing and the covering of the wound with the venoms. They're doing this from the time that they're young. I know that excuse me, I know that, let me take that out. I'm sorry.
Gonna burn the pizza.
Yeah, I'm gonna here. I'm gonna leave it in a couple more minutes. Um, what a knucklehead. I'm sorry.
That's
Um,
okay.
they they I've read of groups that where like I think it was the Bears who worship Artemis. They start at like 7, I think it is.
Seven.
And by the yeah, like 7 is the adoption starts at 7. So the mother will raise the child until it's 6, and then they'll go through a ceremony, send him off to the Bears, and the Bears will turn this kid into somebody who by the age of 10 will be able to fight in public, like mixed martial arts fight. So there are different emphases within different priesthoods.
Okay.
That's the priesthood of Artemis, right?
How,
That's that.
how big is, like, we will have like a bunch of different places that they are doing this, or not that much, or like everybody was going to specific spots or specific places that we know that the priesthood is, you can bring your little girl to it or whatever. How that, we have some sources talking about that, like where did
How common, yeah, how
how
common are
come?
these priesthoods? It's so common that just about every king's daughter becomes the head of the priesthood, whatever it is, whether it's a masculine divinity or feminine divinity. And this tradition goes, it permeates the literature. Every aristocrat, every ruling aristocrat's daughter is in these priesthoods. It's priestess so and so. It's all these priestesses who are getting traded and abducted. It's all these priestesses that are ending up being responsible for tyrants getting killed. And so, how common is it? I can't give you numbers or quantify it, but I can tell you it's all over Greek literature. There are priesthoods, even if you just look at 5th century Athens and you look at, say, drama. Just go through the dramas of the three biggies, Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, and count up the priesthoods that are in it. Right? You're going to be surprised. They're in everything.
Yeah.
So, how common were they? You know, an archaeologist wrote a great work on. Oh, I think it was. She was working on temples of Hera, I think it was, and talking about the influence of the priesthoods, because even they. It looks like the temples of Hera were the first, athletics, really, the first Olympics, that they were doing that kind of stuff with their female priesthoods. So the fact that we have all of these female warriors, all of these females that are involved in combat directly, and you read in the text and you think, well, that's odd. The Greeks are not making a big deal about the fact that this woman is fighting alongside them. All of those priesthoods are contributing not only to military action, but also to like hunting. And they're the ones who are getting involved in the big hunts. The Greeks can't kill their big, scary Caledonian boar or whatever the hell it was without Atalanta being there to be able to spear the thing, because she's the best hunter. Everybody knows that. So, and why would she be? She's one of those fucking aristocrats who can afford
Yeah.
to be put into a system and raised through the ranks to the top.
The best
And to
training.
be that cream of the crop. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's training. Where's she getting her training? The Greek chorus itself, don't forget this, the Greek chorus itself is a piece of technology that people don't appreciate. It is a religious machine that is meant to purge the audience. And the chorus is working together with the language. They're essentially the priesthood that's representing Dionysus right there on the stage. It's essentially their church, right? It's happening as the priest of Dionysus sits there and oversees it. So all of that tech is being used within the mystery and the performance of these initiations and these healings and
it seems to be so. Yeah, like well, the first time you talked about to me that this was like 6 months ago. First time we talked about, you were talking to me about Clytemnestra, and I've read Aeschylus before. So even when I was talking with you, I was actually reading it again, because of this whole thing, and to try to, but it didn't crack anything to me, to be honest. I was just like reading it again. I'm reading a story. After that, at one time we talked, and you said to me like, now you understand what I asked you about the Dracaena, and you told me like, now you understand why Clytemnestra did what she did and everything. So that kept in my mind for a while, and I think it was like 2 months ago, I picked again the same book, and then I started to read it again. It's such a different, like let's say when this guy, when Agamemnon gets to after the war to his house with this girl, and he's saying like this girl is the only thing he took as the most important thing that he took, like a treasure from Troy or whatever, which was this woman or child, I don't know, like that. It was a woman like Cassandra. So then she starts screaming some stuff. So I read that like 5 times before, but last time I read it, it was like Okay, this is the fucking priesthood we're talking about. I mean, like, what?
She's the daughter. She's the daughter of Priam, the king of Troy.
Exactly, and he took her, and and he says that is the most precious thing that he took from after the biggest war ever, and it was this woman. Well, I don't know, maybe wasn't that old, maybe probably she was
Right,
like very
right. She
young.
wasn't. She wasn't. She
I'm
wasn't. But
sure.
she already had, because she was in that 10 to 20 year age. She already had established her reputation as an oracle. Her
Yeah.
brother was also considered a prophet.
Hmm.
And so when she was abducted and taken back, she was the target of the Dracaena. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. She was a competing oracular arm
Hmm.
of the mystery.
Hmm.
And this bozo had brought her into the kingdom, right?
Yes,
Oh my.
yes. I don't know if you remember because I had this conversation with an artist in Athens when we were recording. She is a dancer,
And
and
yeah,
and she asked me, and I give her a bit of. I mean, I told you what she said to me about the chorus because I was telling her about everything we were being talking about, and she was like blown away about it. She actually had a bit of ancient Greek in because if you are studying in Athens dance, you will have a bit of it. You have to do the tragedies. She was a dancer, and she told me that the chorus will represent like the mind of the people, like uh, um, everybody that is watching what is going on, kind of thing. Like this is the
yeah.
chorus is
Usually
like
the
the mind of mankind or whatever of the so
It's usually the bridge. It's usually the bridge between the actors and the audience. The chorus is like, okay, sometimes
yeah,
they're the
exactly.
common, sometimes they're the common people on the street. Sometimes it'll be like all of the servants of the queen. It'll be like a chorus of the, it'll be sometimes it'll be a chorus of women who are being brought as slaves back from Troy,
Mhm.
so they all have the same kind of perspective that the audience, it's like the
Yeah.
playwright wants you to get your perspective through that chorus. So the chorus comes in and feels the actors out so that the audience can kind of experience the actors through that chorus. Definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's definitely. Now, the thing that I like though is it's a process of purification. That's how they describe it. Like that chorus is somehow supposed to be purifying you as you're sitting there watching them. And if you'll notice, they go through transformations. They come to points where they realize what's going on, where
Yeah. Even
they,
in that same situation, like with Cassandra and Clytemnestra, when they are discussing this, the chorus is changing his mind. At some point, it's like at first it's like, are you doing this? So it's not like a just like an omniscient entity.
right,
Like he's
right,
is interacting with the with what is going on.
right. And in the Bacchae of Euripides, the
Mhm.
chorus is kind of that springboard for us to be able to experience what the initiate who follows Dionysus experiences. And Dionysus kind of talks back and forward with them. And it's so obvious that you're supposed to, as the viewer, you're supposed to be sucked into that chorus. It's like the point of, where the movie like gets into you and you have a commonality with it. That's exactly, if that's how she's describing it, I'd say that's gorgeous and straight on, beautiful, classical, perfect.
Yeah, and another important thing that makes what we are doing now, and I'm very grateful, is to be able for me to engage again with that text. I needed a bit that if not that I'm trained on it, but a bit of small training, like you need to see what this is about and what, and then you pick up the same thing that you already read, and it's completely different what you're reading. I mean, when I
Figure out how to translate that to your documentary production,
Mhm.
where you're putting the audience in the place of that chorus. Figure out maybe that's what, that's why you're doing that in your mind. Did you go to Clytemnestra's dream, the Dracaena's dream, in the Coepheroi, the cupbearers,
no,
libation bearers?
no.
Yeah, go to the second in the trilogy after Agamemnon. Go to the second one, and
After Agamemnon,
libation. Yeah, go to the second one after Agamemnon is another play, and then the Eumenides. So it's the cupbearers, the Coepheroi, and then the Eumenides. Go to that middle play, and in it you're going to see Clytemnestra have a dream as the Dracaena, and it involves the communion. So
Okay.
you must see that. Look for the Dragon Queen's dream. That's what I'll say.
Okay, I will.